What's up, guys? This is JC with Carnage Gaming, and today we are going to do a little talking about WoW Classic. Now, Ian has specified that they're only going to have one server during launch of WoW Classic, and they're going to use this thing called phasing, where there may be 300 people standing in Stormwind, but you're only going to see a portion of them, 50 to 100. So the question is, why, if there's such a hype for WoW Classic, are they only putting one server? What do they know that perhaps the rest of the people don't? Now, it could just be that they're stingy on their servers. It could be that, they're going to have so many freaking bugs when it comes out that, they don't want to have to deal with multiple servers. Let's fix it all in one. And if the population increases, then we'll go ahead and add more servers. It could be a lot of other things. Honestly, I think that the people are not going to like Classic as much as they do BFA right now. And I'm going to go over a couple of key points as to why. Now, us old folk that started back in beta, it's nostalgic for us. We remember how hard it was. It wasn't an easy game. Grinding, it was a thing. It's not Final Fantasy grinding, but it was a thing. You didn't have as many spells. Yeah, auto attacking, it was actually a necessity. While you were waiting for your spells to come off cooldown, you would auto attack, and you would sit there helpless as you just watched your guy sit there and pound on the guy until your spell actually came available. Fighting animations were much slower. It's fancy now with your warriors doing spins and rogues doing all these fancy jumps up in the air and coming down. Didn't have it back then. No, you look just like pretty much everybody else, just sitting there swinging from right to left, left to right, right to left, left to right, while you waited for your cooldown. Another thing I don't think you guys are prepared for, you're gonna die a lot. And not just, okay, I pulled, 7 people and I couldn't handle it. No, you pull one and you might not be able to handle it. There was back in the day when you got a mob down to a certain health, he chickened out, turned and ran toward a group of mobs. And if he got close enough to them mobs that they aggroed you, guess what? You're a low health just for fighting that one guy, and now you've got 4 other guys coming at you. Boom, wipe, res sickness. Run back to your body. Back in the day, you were very weak, very squishy. Even a warrior. Questing was extremely slow. I remember the Defias getting the mask. Back in Westfall, you would need 15 masks to complete the task. You would think nowadays you go in for a quest, you're sitting at home and you're like, well, I got like 10, 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do my dailies, maybe hit a couple quests, chat with some friends before dinner. No, that's not going to happen in Classic. One quest can take you up to 20 to 30 minutes. And the reason being is that the quests, for one, guess what? There's no flying. Guess what? You're not going to be riding mounts for quite a while because money is not that easy to come across. You're going to have to run and hoof it all the way down to where you want to go. And then when you get there, you're going to have to fight these mobs that are going to take a while to kill. And their drop rates are extremely low, so you may kill 5 to 6 before you get one bandana. And then there's that chance that one gets away and pulls a mob and wipes you, and now you got to run all the way back to your body. And on top of that, you've got other people playing the game, so guess what? Loot wasn't shared back then. Alright, it was whoever tagged it first got it. So 20, 30 minutes goes by, you finally get one quest done. Now you got to hoof it all the way back up to the guy who gave you the quest. Turn it in, and guess what? He's going to send you right back to the same freaking area to now get something else. That was the game back then. It was a lot of grinding back and forth. It was hard. It was slow. Most of the time, it was a pain in the ass. Now, how did we get across all that? Well, guess what? Professions actually meant something back then. Anybody who was a mail-wearing or plate-wearing class, guess what? They took blacksmithing. Why? Because they made their own armor. It was just as good as what you could get in the first couple dungeons. Most classes had professions that were actually geared toward them. Rogues were skinners and leatherworkers. Your clothies, mages, priests, they were enchanters and tailors. Why? Because they made their own clothing. It ain't like today where you would take 2 gathering professions just to make money or to support your guild. No, back then, you needed your professions. There was a reason. They were hard. They were grindy. Mages, warlocks, priests, they all had wands. Because that was their auto attack in between spells. And guess what? Back then, you had to level your fighting style. So if you wanted to, you couldn't just switch between an axe and a sword, because your sword could be level 25, and if you grabbed an axe, it's level 1. Now you have to sit there and you need to beat things up to increase that level. Stuck on a mob, a big group, guess what? No LFG. You didn't just push a button and boom, 5 people pop in front of you and you kill the big guy and boom, they disappear. You actually had to yell into Stormwind or Orgrimmar or whichever was the closest big city, saying, "Hey, I need help taking down this person," and then you had to wait, and hopefully somebody else needed that quest, and we're like, "Hey, I'll join you." And guess what? They didn't poof in front of you. You had to wait on them to hoof it all the way to where you were. Now at level 40, you can get your first mount. It's expensive. A couple gold in this game could take you quite a while to gather. Most of your quests are giving you copper and silver, and that's it. Now that first mount that you get, he's not 100% speed. He's at 60. You won't hit 100% speed mount until you get to level 60. And at that point, you get to buy another mount with the 100%. You can't use the same one. Oh, and here is my favorite. You know them awesome looking mounts the warlocks and the pallies have that are specific to their race? Well, guess what, you candy asses? This ain't everybody gets a trophy. This is classic. You have to earn it. You have to go out and quest for it. You've got to go into dungeons. You've got to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to obtain these mounts now. Now you might be thinking, wow, this all sounds like it sucks. Why would you say WoW Classic is better? Well, see, there's one thing that doing all this made you do as a player back then, and that was socialize with people around you. You get into a quest, you see a couple people standing around. Instead of sitting there to see who can get the first hit, you whisper to them, "Hey, you want to join my group? I'm doing the same quest." And they would join your group. And you befriended that person doing that quest. And most of the time, they stuck with you to the next quest. And then when you hit dungeons, you would call them back up because now you made a friend in the game. "Hey, so-and-so, I'm going to hit this dungeon. You want to roll with me?" That's what made WoW what it was in the beginning. It wasn't that it was because it was so fancy or, I mean, it was only a couple steps up from frickin' Minecraft on pixelation. It was because it made you socialize with people that you normally wouldn't. Nowadays, you hit LFG, 30, 40 people pop in, you do a raid, and then boom, they're gone. You never even talk to them. Back then, you needed to know these people. You needed to talk to them. Now, what I think is going to happen is a lot of people are going to get into the game. It's going to be a cluster on the first couple days. It's probably going to lock up. It's going to be large queues to get in. But I think it's going to drop down because the one thing that, and this is what all us old folk bitch about, is they made WoW a cookie cutter game. They might as well handed you the WoW for Dummies book. The people who started, say, Lynch King and up are going to be like, "Wow, this is really grindy, and I don't want to put this much time in. I can get on BFA and I can do 20 quests in 5 minutes, where it takes me 20, 30 minutes to do one quest here." And I think those people are going to disappear. They're not going to stick around. It's going to be us old guys that started in the beginning, that this is nostalgic for us. We're going to be like, okay, this is why I love this game. This is why I've played for 14 years. This is why, my wife is a WoW widow. Yeah, it's such a thing. This game really did do that because of how hard it was and time consuming. Those guys are going to stick around. And I think that is why Ian's only looking at one server at this point. Because I don't think they're going to need more than one, maybe 2 tops. I'm getting in it. I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I want to go back to that feeling. And there's going to be some things that I'm going to be like, damn, I can't just yell for help. Damn, I can't just jump in a group. But that's part of WoW Classic. That's how it was back then. And you got to understand that. I don't think people are prepared for what's actually they're gonna play. I think people are gonna get into it and then they're just gonna drop out because it's too slow for them. This world moves too fast now. Everything's got to be now. And WoW Classic wasn't like that. WoW Classic was take your time, relax, meet some friends, enjoy their company, get them to go with you for other quests. And at the end of the day, when I earn this reward, it's going to be because I earned, not because it was just given to me. I ran alts back then. I had a warlock. I had a paladin. I busted my ass to get their mounts. And it ticks me off that nowadays you just got to hit the level 40 and you can get it. And that's wrong. That's not the way it should be. But because everybody gets a trophy, it's all cookie cutter now. And you're not going to find that in Classic unless they don't stay true to keeping it Classic. But I guess in, 2.5 weeks, we'll find out. I think one of the things I'm most looking forward to is just sitting back and watching people run the dungeons. Because if they run them the way they do now, it's going to be a wipe fest. Rogues have a sap for a reason. Mages have a sheep for a reason. You got to let these guys... You can't pull groups in Classic. You need the sheep. You need the sap. You need to allow the warrior or tank to get in there. Throw a couple sunders down. Get the aggro. It's not an all AoE bash out. You do that, it's game over. You guys are gonna wipe. You need to play the game the way it was back then. You can't expect to go in and do what you do now. It just won't work. Well, guys, I wanted to be straight up with you. I'm not trying to scare anybody off from it. I just don't want to hear all the bitching and whining afterwards. I wanted you to know exactly what you're walking into. It is an awesome game. It is a harder playstyle than what you're used to. What you play right now, it was so watered down so that everybody could win. It wasn't like that back in Classic, so just be prepared for that. Alright guys, well I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Guys, if you have any questions for me about back in the day, definitely leave them in the comments. I'd love to answer them. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe. Help the channel out. Alright guys, until next time, have a good day.